In this quote by Thomas Malone, director for the MIT Center for Collective Intelligence, I was blown away. So he says, "I think we're in the early stages of an increase in human freedom in business that may, in the long run, be as important a change for business as the change of democracy was for government." So this puts a new perspective on things. So there's a lot of infrastructure out there now that we don't have to reinvent. You don't have to be a huge corporation to take advantage of a lot that's going on. So 2 years ago, I had not yet heard the term co-working. Then I happened to be at a little Seattle gathering where people got 2 or 3 minutes to stand up and talk about a big idea. And one of those people was Susan Evans. There's Susan on the right of that couple over there. And she was talking about how co-working was going to change the world. That doesn't mean we all like it or that it's comfortable for us, but it's what's happening. What we have is a shift from the employee role to the free agent role. In the future, people will work stints rather than jobs. The biggest change involves learning how to think of yourself as a company of one. Can anybody take a wild guess at what nearshoring means? Very kind of a fancy word for works from home. We'll come to the office only when it's really desirable to get together. The offices themselves will consist of meeting spaces, collaborative spaces. Jobs have always been about who you know, and now there's a lot more information about who you know. Your employer or your manager or the person who is calling you together to do some stint work is expecting you to have these networks, is expecting you to be able to bring in resources, and you're going to be more valuable for having those connected networks. So it'll be a requirement in the future to be able to run your career like it's a business. So there's less enforcement of worker compliance, and there's more enabling of worker participation. How do workers gain skills and satisfaction from their work when they're stint workers? Maybe they're working from home, and maybe it's kind of getting hard to create those networks that are now being so valued. Shared workspaces increase worker productivity. Well, 42% of survey respondents reported earning more money after joining a co-working space. So if you're one of those amoeba-like entrepreneurs who wants to go and tap into a lot of talent, where are you going to go? Despite the explosive growth, the central goals of the co-working community remain simple: enrich lives by redefining the way people work. And beyond just creating a better place to work, co-working spaces are built around the ideas of community building and sustainability. And these shouldn't be limited to just those who hold co-working memberships. In other words, you're really reaching out to the community as well. Among other things, co-working spaces provide a way for co-workers to work where they live. When people don't have to commute and where they can work where they live, they become more invested in their local communities. They shop at local retailers, they get engaged in local issues, and they make their voices heard. Instead of looking online to hire a developer in India, they can instead suggest hiring the developer that sits 2 chairs over 3 days a week. The 10 people that are closest to you, friends and family that would be your support system if something went really wrong. And adults now, people who are, in the work world. How many of them are independent? Can you do a quick calculation in your head? How many guess that it's 30% or more? If we're in the middle of a transition as big as the shift to democracy, we need to come up with better questions. What is happening? It's not just about our jobs, but there's something else that's happening as well. We would love for you to come get to know OfficeXpats. We are in the Bainbridge Pavilion. We're upstairs. You can check in the morning. You can have some public accountability and say, all right, these are the things I want to do today. And some of the magic that happens when you do that is somebody says, oh, I got a resource for you, or maybe I can help with that. And that's kind of what we call accelerated serendipity in the co-working circles.